All right, well, about a half an hour of trying to figure out the software and make sure everything looks the way it's supposed to, so pretty happy with that. So I guess we'll do something productive. Hopefully somebody will join us. If not, then we just try again. I put up this GitHub site, as you can see, like 8 years ago. Haven't really done much with it. Just threw a few simple things in there, but I think it's time to make some improvements there. So I guess we'll just take it from the top. Let's see here. first thing we'll change on this is we'll set a variable for how many months of data to retain. That looks good. I'll add that in as well, just to keep there from ever being a possibility of an issue. Probably need like some sort of a standard disclaimer. Okay, that should work. right, that looks pretty good. Third concurrent viewer. Hey, jump into the chat. It's getting lonely in here. All you need to do to chat is subscribe. And we're just doing that to farm you as a subscriber. Because why wouldn't we? So what I'm working on right now is just cleaning up an old GitHub site that I started a long time ago and haven't really done much with, but I thought it'd be a good place to keep any of this code or just this random stuff that we have that we are kind of releasing to the public domain. Any of our future projects and stuff we'll do there. Writing. All right, so we'll select out all the headers. And then use those IDs to delete the child records. What else do we want to say about this? Build up of data. It should only be run in an overnight process or a maintenance window. This is a good little script. I mean, if you get in a situation where you're starting to notice Porg is slowing down, and you need to be able to, or you're trying to figure out what's going on with that, the first place I would look is how many records are in this GPOR dynamic look ahead table, because that's usually where the biggest buildup is. And we've even seen companies with really small user counts, they'll end up with a couple of million records in here before they know it, because it'll build up over a period of years, especially if you're running Porg wide open multiple times per day. It's just regenerating that data over and over and over again. And so what this does is it'll just go in and keep that all purged down to however many months you want to retain. I've never actually had occasion to go back and try to do anything with it, but you know, it's just one of those things where you go with whatever works for you. I find just keeping 3 months worth of data in there is totally fine. Just in case you needed to go back and do some research on something, you could, but end of the day, you don't really have to. So we'll just keep this defaulted at 3. And that should be that. Let's go ahead and put that up. Oh, we totally need to add this to ignore. There we go. I'm just blanking the background for a minute until I get logged in. Okay. Oh, come on. Well, that's groovy. Let's try this again. No idea. Seriously. Well, for the moment, we could just do this. All right, let's see. Let's just edit. There we go. That works. Okay. So that's working. And let's move on to the next script and see what we can do to improve there. And this script is really about archiving out old quotes, which, again, it's just a housekeeping issue in the system, because a lot of stuff, the quotes never get closed out, and so it kind of throws off reporting and makes things not as believable. So we've had a lot of cases where people are like, hey, I just want this completely closed out, and anything older than n number of days, just get rid of it. So that's the whole idea here. And the way we're doing that is we're just setting them to, are we setting it? Yeah, we're setting these quotes to complete and canceled, because they weren't really ever converted to an order. So, which I suppose you could just not set them to canceled. That doesn't really matter one way or the other. But if you set everything to completed, that should get you where you want to go. And then there's a couple of companion tables here for quote header and quote line, where some additional data that's specific to quotes is kept. And so it's a good idea to go in and do that as well. So I think what we can do here is, number one, it needs a lot of comments. Number two, we need to do something with this date, maybe turn that into a variable. And I think we probably should turn the last maintained by into a variable as well. That makes sense to me. All right, let's do that then. All right. So let's just start with the housekeeping stuff. Get that in there. Okay. Open quote data. Open quotes that are and set them to complete. Completes any quote older than a specified date. It doesn't really apply. All right. Let's do so the question is, do we do a date or do we set it up like we did the other one where it's like a number of months? I think date probably makes the most sense here. People would know, hey, I want to do everything older than a certain date, so we'll go with that. Could do like a preview mode too. That's probably a good idea. Okay, so that's cool. And then let's do okay, I like that. Yeah, this works. I'm just going to take the cancel flag out of there. Okay. I like that better, but we also probably need to put something in there that if the quote is not expired, it shouldn't be canceled or cleared out. That probably doesn't make much sense. That way, if you put in something like if your policy is to say, hey, we're going to expire out old quotes after 6 months, but then you have some special that you quoted a year out, those would still stay unexpired or, not closed out. So I think we probably need to put in that as well. If you're just joining us, jump in the chat. Be happy to have you get in there, ask questions, whatever. I'm doing some SQL coding right now, but anything is fair game. At the moment, my goal is just to go through our GitHub site and just try to spruce up some of the scripts that we have in there. We'll start adding to it once we get that done. All right. So let's do page. So let's see, how do we want to do this? I'm thinking we could set a switch up here. I think that is what I want to do. So let's say declare keep unexpired quotes. That a char1. Unexpired quotes will be canceled, or let's say completed, or not. Okay, so what I think you do there is you would say if keep unexpired quotes is not equal to how do we want to do that? If keep unexpired quotes is equal to yes. Another issue I think you've got there is how do you treat a null value in the expiration date? Because like there's one right there that has no expiration date. Does that mean that it never expires, or does that mean that it expired immediately? So to me, if it's a null expiration date, I would err on the side of saying you keep it, because it's far easier to unravel it in the other direction and go complete those than it is to say, we didn't know, so we just got rid of it. To me, I think that's just a better move. Let's see here. Okay, so what we'll do, it's not a double equals wrong language. So if we're going to keep unexpired quotes, I think the first thing you do is you say, okay, let's If you're not keeping unexpired quotes, then everything is fair game, so you don't need to do anything. But if you are keeping unexpired quotes, I think it makes sense to start off by updating the temp table and setting the expiration date to something like way out in the future. And then that handles all of your nulls and puts them to where they're treated as unexpired. And then from there you can, you can just say, all right, let's delete from temp quotes where expiration date is greater than today's date. All right, so that will take, that basically is just a simple way to take them out of scope, which I think works. Again, if you're just hopping in, feel free to hop into the chat, ask a question, make a suggestion. It is far better than sitting here talking into the void, I assure you. All you have to do to jump into chat is hit the subscribe button. Hey, Wild-Eyed Wanderer. Can't watch now. Well, you know, so we're going to be on a schedule. Right now it's looking like it's going to be Tuesdays. And I'm still trying to dial the times in, but keep an eye on our community posts. I think where I'm going to land is like Tuesdays 10 to 2. I'll try to go like 4 hours at a time. And that way there's plenty of time. I know people have got stuff to do, but I figured what I was really trying to do was cover the lunch hour all the way across the U.S. So that way it's easy for you to jump in if you want to. So I really appreciate you coming and hanging out. So thank you. Okay, so let's just kind of recap where we are here. Got our boilerplate in. Let's say do not edit below this line. Gotta be explicit. Okay, so we're setting a start date. We're setting who the modified by user is going to be. We are... You know, that too, I think we need to work on down deeper in the code just in case somebody wipes it out or whatever. Because you don't want that to be blank or null. So we'll come up with a way to make sure that that's not going to mess up. That's cool. And then this gives us a switch as to whether we're doing a preview or an actual hard update. And then this gives us a switch to say, are we going to ignore the quote expiration date entirely, or are we going to say no, regardless of what the quote date is, if it's expired or if it's not expired, we want to keep it. So that's where we're going to go there. So I think what we want to do is have like a null or blank handler here for the modified by user, just so that there's no chance that that's going to get messed up. So what we can do with that is... we need to comment this up a little bit just to make it a little clearer. So let's say this is handler for keeping unexpired quotes and treating null expire date as treating a null expire date as not expired. That makes sense at all. I don't know. All right, so that's cool. And then this is our handler to determine if we are running in preview mode, or actually doing the update. Actually doing the update. So I have to say, I'm actually 100% shocked that someone showed up. That's fantastic, and I really appreciate it. That's a good start. It makes you want to come back and do it again. I mean, everybody missed the amazing first 30 minutes of me just like completely losing my mic and all that good stuff. But I think seems like we've overcome that at this point. So I don't know. We'll see. Okay. So that's cool. Liking all of this. So we want to definitely do some sort of a handler for a null or blank update user. So what we'll say is if is null modified by user blank equals blank. Oops, blank. Yeah, we'll just go with admin. It's going to kind of be our default fallback there. That makes probably the most sense. What did I do wrong here? Oh, that should be like that. Cool. Okay. So if you're just coming in, welcome to the live stream. So this is our first one. This is kind of a test run, so I'm trying to basically find myself some busy work to do. We have a GitHub site. Let's see. We'll show you guys that. And it is GitHub/Andrew Podner. We'll put it. It's linked. There's a social media link on our coffee page. And also, we will put that in the description if it's not already there. Let me go check. It might not be. Let's get that and make sure that it's in the description of this live stream. That seems like something I totally could have overlooked. GitHub. Okay. Let's see here. Here's the YouTubes. Nope, that's the live stream chat. That's not it. Let's try that one. That's it. Edit. Okay, there we go. GitHub's in the description now. You may have to refresh. Anyway, so this is a little repository on my GitHub site and started it about 8 years ago. So we're going to keep everything that we do in the live streams. And so what I thought I would do is just come try to spruce it up a little bit. So that's what I'm working on here. I realize my fat head is kind of in the way. Let's see if I can slide that around a little bit. There we go. That is somewhat better. Still working on these background images, trying to get them just where I want them. Maybe like there. And this one I think is better here. They're just a little, there we go. I kind of like that better. Hopefully we'll have that locked in here pretty quick. Okay, anyway. Back to work. Oh, I lost my chat. Where's my chat? There's chat. Okay. Alrighty. So we're working on this script for the GitHub site that just closes out old quotes. I just threw something really basic up maybe 8 years ago. It's hard for me to believe that it's been that long, 7 or 8 years. And so, yeah, we're just coming back to it and trying to clean it up a little bit, make it a little bit smarter, and make it a little bit easier to use. And, also obviously put boilerplates on all this stuff because it's not my fault if you mess up your database. Make sure you test and play. Okay, so where are we at? That's done. This is ready for a test. Let's do don't update and keep unexpired quotes. So what should happen is order number 290 should fall off of the list. So we should go down to 15 rows. Yes. And we did. Cool. So I'm going to run this back to 2020. All right, so it should just close out this order. Yeah. So let's check that out. Make sure that that's actually going to happen. And we're going to say this time update data. Let me just copy that. Okay, it doesn't look like it was a total disaster. So we should get nothing back now. And we didn't. And let's go take a look at order number equals. Yep, it is completed. Well, pretty happy with that. Let's go with it. Wow, that hurt my ears. Okay. I think we can go ahead and commit this one. All right. Oh, we need to put the handler in for, yeah, I don't think we're ready for this yet. I want to put the temp table handler in there. Yeah, for sure. We need to do that. That will just make it a little bit better. And better is good. Let's do that. And temp quotes. And temp quotes. Okay, I like that better. Ugh. Kidding me? Yeah, that works for me. It's there now. Oh. The one thing I find interesting, though, is I'm not sure how to tell if ads are running. So I got to figure that out. Hey, we got a like. That's amazing, actually. All right. I'm going to bring chat back here. And okay, sorry. Just doing more housekeeping, trying to figure out ultimately what's the best way to run all of this. I really like the OBS platform. That works really well. A lot of fine control over exactly how you want to do stuff, but it's like then how to monitor what's going on in the live stream. That's a different animal entirely. So I could slide that like that. I mean, that's better-ish, I guess. I don't know. Okay. So that one's done. Closing out old quotes. Let's see what that looks. Why it doesn't look any different? Oh, dude. I totally just wrecked it. Typical. 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 Okay, well, you know. This is what happens when you're trying to pay attention to too many things at once. Let's go here. I think first things first is let's see if we can just like unwind that commit. Let's see, can we easily do that from here? Split, unified, I don't care about any of that. Let's look at actions. Nope. Okay. So yeah, I just blew that up, and that is about par for the course for me. So let's go back in history. Well, first, let's update the right file. That's probably as good a place as any to begin. We're going to edit that. Great job. Okay. Okay, that one's done. Now let's go back to the Porg archive. All that work we put in 36 minutes ago, we now need to get back. I know there's better ways to do this, but you know, this is going to be pretty quick. Clean up Porg archive. Edit. Oh, dude. What is this mess? Get rid of that. This is like a disaster. This looks terrible. Oh, gosh. Okay, that's better. This isn't even right. There's stuff missing. So that's great. How far back in history can I go? Okay, there we go. All right, so let's get these. Put all this back. Don't need that. And yeah, much better. Let's see. Let me just, whoops. Wrong icon. Let's just grab everything from create table all the way down just to make sure that we got what we wanted. Okay, that looks correct. I'm gonna go run it right quick just to be sure, because now I've got myself freaked out about it. Haha, see? There it is. Just get all of that. Thank you. Copy. Well, welcome if you're just joining us. Feel free to drop something in the comments or in the live chat, ask a question, talk shop, whatever. Any and all is welcome. Right now, I am cleaning up a mess that I just created on my GitHub which is linked in the description. So that's where any of the scripts that we're working on that we're turning out as open source for people to use, that's where we're going to keep them. Started it 7 or 8 years ago. Haven't really kept up with it lately. Just too many other things going on. But we're going to try to use that as the place where all the code we do in this live stream is. So this script is just cleaning up your Porg archive. And it's really just an exercise from a SQL perspective. It's really just an exercise in setting a variable, putting a scope of records into a temp table, and then using that to figure out, okay, here's all the data that we want to delete out of the system. These are hard deletes, which is not something you do super often in Profit 21, but in this particular database, it will get crapped up in a hurry if you don't keep these things clean. So we've gotten into these. Even the smallest of companies will have like 2 million records in some of these tables that never really end up getting used for anything, and then all of a sudden their purchasing is running so slow they can't stand it. So we have found that doing some routine maintenance on this really helps. All right. So we definitely have a working script. Again, since I just blew it out on accident. Whoops. So let's put that back in. Okay. This looks good, and we are actually updating the right file this time. Fix overwrite. And commit. All right, cool. There we go. All right. Moving on. About 25 more minutes left on the live stream today. It is super cool that we have had people come into this. I, didn't expect that at all. Let's see. I'm just going to take this out of sub-only mode just to see. Let's see, there we go. Anybody. There you go. There we go. Now it's out of sub-only mode, so hopefully maybe that will elicit a little bit more activity for a while. And then if it gets out of hand, we'll deal with it then. But I would appreciate the sub. We are trying to grow the channel. All right. So Porg archive is done. Close out old quotes is done. Both of those are looking good. Now this stuff is, these are things that Glenn Berry wrote, and also a guy at Heraflux named David Klee. Very awesome people, very good at what they do, and so I always threw those in here just so I would never lose them. So I'm not really going to work on that. Number of users per role. This is a good one and would also benefit from what users are in a role. Oh, well, that one's down here. Users by role. Yeah, we need to look through the script archives and find some others. Let's see what else is just in here. Auto kill WWMS sessions, that's a good one. That one we need to spend some time probably just talking through. You know, it's crazy because like there wasn't even like hosted P21, like the public hosting in Azure. That wasn't even a thing when I did all this originally. So, you know, if you're hosted, it's kind of a different ball game, and we have to start looking at how we can do some tools and utilities that will help you manage in that environment where you're not going to have direct database access, and how can you do those things, and you know, all of that good stuff. So I think over time we'll start to figure those things out of how we want to approach it. Let's see here. All right. What else can we work on? This one just needs to really have the boilerplate and all that put on it. But what we can do is grab that, and we'll clean this up a little bit, and then we will demo what it does. I think this is just a good sort of blocking and tackling script for trying to understand who's in what role. Goes into Excel pretty easily. You know, maybe that would be the tool to have. Maybe we should build like a utility that says, okay, I want to execute this query or pick from a list of queries, and then it just exports out to Excel to make it easier for you to work with. That could actually be pretty cool. Maybe we'll take that on as a project. Okay. Let's go back to here. Okay. Okay, so you can kind of see this is your undeleted users, and probably need to make it undeleted roles as well. Okay, and then let's set the sort, make that a little bit better. Not losing it here. Oh, this is not good. Let's see here. Oh, live stream seems to be fine. Oh, groovy. Well, that's not good. Let's switch back over here. And let's see if this will come back. Not yet. Well, that's groovy. Okay, that's fine. So let that be a lesson to me that I need to have a plan for that. Close that. Oh yeah, it's just totally freaked out. Maybe the site-to-site VPN dropped. Very weird. Well, okay, we'll just do it right here. Let's see, can we? There we go. I just wanted to get the definitely want to make sure that we get the boilerplate, so we'll grab that from here. Let's see. I really want my other connection back. I'm really not going to get it back, though. Wow, not good. Let's see. Well, that's working. Hey, it's coming back. That was strange. Let's see, properties. Desktop. Okay, we're back. Kind of weird, but we're back. Let's see if I can resize this and make it a little bit better there. Cool. All right, back to so we can get our boilerplate in. And okay, that works. Yeah, cool. Everything else looks like it's okay. Strange. Okay, so don't need that. All right, what else do we want to know? I was thinking we could put something in here like users dot contact ID, and I think that contact ID is actually the default buyer ID or the buyer ID. So we'll just put an alias on that, and then we could put the sales rep ID in there. Oops. Yeah, that works. What else would be useful? Let's just look through what's in users. Yeah, I don't know. Default branch, default company, and default location would be good. So users dot default company, default branch, and default location ID. That would be cool. So if you're just tuning in, what we're working on right now is just a simple select script, basically to show you all the different roles that you have in P21, what users are in them, and then we're just adding in a few data points for those users. Let's see here. Okay. I like it. I mean, it's simple. There's not a lot to it, but there doesn't really have to be a lot to it, you know? Although I think the sales rep ID thing, that doesn't seem right to me. Let's try. Default sales rep on order. I bet you that's it. Yep, that's it. Cool. This, like I said, it's simple. There's not a lot to it, but it can be useful. So let's copy that and get it over to our GitHub page. And we're just going to say we updated to add new fields. I like it. Let's do it. That's probably about all the time I've got for making changes to scripts, but I'll definitely look around before we come back on the next live stream and see if we can come up with some other ones that we need to add. Put it in the comments. If you watch this after the fact and you're like, hey, I would love to have a script that lets me look at X data. You know, if it's something simple that would be useful for people, you know, we'll do it on a live stream and we'll put it up here on the GitHub site. The GitHub site is linked in the description of this video, so go check it out. Everything there is free to download and use. Just remember to test it and play. Everything is obviously use at your own risk, but we're putting stuff in here that we've used for a long time and that we're pretty confident with, but you should still test in your database just to make sure. Test in your play database or a pre-prod database to make sure that you don't get any unintended side effects or anything like that. All right. Let's see. Nothing really in the comments or in the live chat at this point, but that's cool. I mean, hey, it's our first day and it's a test and it's not going to be full length. We're only going to run about half length, but the plan is to get on a regular schedule at least once a week, and everything's open for discussion, whether it's P21 or, hey, just general SQL coding or C# or database performance. If we don't know the answer, we'll figure it out. I mean, we'll get out there and try to figure it out for you. This is just a place for people to hang out and have a good time and work on the system and try to make their life better and try to make each other's lives better and all that good stuff. So Eventually, we'd like to start doing some utilities and projects that we can release open source, and we're hoping we can get some support for that. That's why there's a coffee link at the bottom, and we also have a monthly goal to do a charitable donation to a local charity here in our area. So we would love to have people help us support that as well. But yeah, no, the main thing is really just trying to build a community, and there's a lot of new companies coming into P21. P21 is no longer just P21. When this GitHub was started 7 or 8 years ago, there was really only one way to do P21, and that was desktop client. And either you were running remote desktop or you were running fat client, but it's all the same platform. Everybody, for the most part, was on premise or close enough to on premise, right? That they were effectively on premise, but now it's a whole different world. That's just not the way that it works anymore. There are multiple ways to consume P21 and multiple platforms, and there's a lot of people that are still transitioning from desktop, and there's a lot of people that are still stuck at that last version. And it's time to move on from that. I mean, the future is the web, and that's where all the effort's being put into P21 by Epicor, and that's where we're putting the overwhelming majority of our effort in. I think there's still, I don't think that like negates the prospect that there can be desktop tools that you can use for administration or data management and stuff like that. We still do some of those, not nearly as many as we used to. A lot of it's gone to the web now, but it really just depends on the case. But I still think there's plenty of opportunity to do stuff like that and make it useful. All right, well, we're getting kind of close to the end of this. I mean, 28 views. I think I saw where we had 3 or 4 people on at one time. I mean, for a first, like, hey, no one even knows this thing exists, and we're really just trying this out to make sure that all the equipment works, I'll take it. That's fantastic, and I really appreciate everybody that showed up, and hopefully you guys will come back. We're going to be around. We're not going anywhere. We will get this thing on a regular schedule. We're looking at Tuesdays right now, Tuesdays from 10 to 2 Central, which should cover your lunch hour across the board, no matter where in the U.S. you are. So hopefully we can make that happen. All right, let's see. I was trying to think if there's anything else that might be of interest or worth talking about, but kind of running out of stuff, and I'm down to the last couple of minutes before I was going to cut the live stream off. So that's about all the time I've got for today, but we'll be back. I think I have another test scheduled for next Tuesday. We'll post it on a community post before we go live. Try to give you guys a few days heads up. We'll probably start getting some information out on our website so people can get that worked into their schedule if they so choose. Otherwise, we really appreciate everybody that dropped by, and we look forward to seeing you next time.